Hello, everyone. There's a bit of a myth in the raw vegan community that raw vegans can sort of avoid medical help. They can avoid antibiotics. They can avoid um, antivirals, maybe. They can avoid vaccines. They can avoid all sorts of things, all sorts of shots and boosters and whatever else. Now, when it comes to all these things, I believe that you need to make an individual decision based on that individual situation. I don't think you make a blank, dogmatic statement about what you're going to do with your health. You're not in, it doesn't have to be like, I'm all natural or I'm all medical. Like, there's people that are all medical. They're wrong. They're flat out wrong. They're like, oh, I'm going to just go with the medicine. I'm going to follow the science without realizing they're not following the science. Then there's people, by doing that, they're not following the science because the science of nutrition and the fact that food causes many diseases, your diet causes many diseases, it's pretty strong. Now, your doctor won't tell you that, but it's pretty strong science. The pharmaceutical companies got no interest in telling you that, and neither should they. It's not their business. But you're not following the science if you just do medicine to try and get better. Oh, I've got heart disease. I'm just going to take I'm going to get a stent and I'm going to get a heart bypass and I'm going to get a thing. No, bonkers, rubbish, not scientific whatsoever. Nonsense. I'm going to take statins. No, you change your diet. That's the most scientifically sound thing to do. Diabetes type 2, you change your diet. Try and prevent cancer, you change and improve your diet. It's the best thing you can do. And we're finding more and more multiple sclerosis. Diet was the best thing that's ever been found. Most successful therapy ever found has been low fat vegetarian diet for multiple sclerosis. It's unbelievable this stuff doesn't get out there, but it is science. It's the science if you want to get, But certain large institutions and things aren't behind that science yet, so it's not as celebrated. Okay? But you can't also be all natural. You can't say, well, I'm just going to try and find the natural approach. I'm just going to, I've got, uh, I don't know, someone's picked up some sexual health issue. What do you call it? An STI, sexually transmitted infection or something. Oh, I'm just going to do the natural approach. That might not be the best thing. Oh, I've got a urinary tract infection. It might not be the best thing to just do the natural approach. Oh, I've got a huge wound in my arm from falling off my bike. It might be good to actually let a doctor see that, or a nurse at the very least. Um, properly dress that, properly clean it. Um, Lots of other situations, infections, various infections, parasite things. Like a bunch of people will get some kind of if you actually literally get a parasite thing, which is probably quite rare, but if you literally do, I don't think you want to try and just fast and do these natural. Like, I'm gonna take some natural. Like, the man-made stuff's probably going to be better. Otherwise, the people in the tribes in the jungle wouldn't all be full of parasites, which they are all of their life. They've not they've not got anything that works. They take the Western man-made drugs and it works. It clears them out of parasites super quick. So, Lyme's disease, there's antibiotics for that. Various types of infection, bacterial infections. There's antibiotics for these things. And there's many other things. You don't just genetic conditions. There's genetic conditions that people will have to take medication to survive. You know, so you can't just be sitting there going, "I'm just going to take the natural approach or the medical approach." It's wrong. It doesn't matter how healthy your diet is. It's not the right way to look at this situation. You can't get caught in this dogma like I'm never going to the hospital. Now, if you go to the hospital with digestive like various chronic disease and digestive issues, and they're telling you to take painkillers and drugs. It's maybe not the best answer, right? In certain there's plenty of situations where it's not the best answer, and they will give you the wrong stuff, and they will give you painkillers and all that. But even painkillers, if a painkiller helps you get a night's sleep, if you're in pain and a painkiller helps you get a night's sleep, then why not take it? You don't have to suffer. You don't have to make yourself suffer through life. So don't run away from conventional advice. A lot of people with the dental stuff, and I've told you I've got dental issues, and you can see some of my things that I'm needing to get fixed. And I was caught in a mindset at one point. I didn't I actually left the dentist one time. I didn't trust them anymore. I made mistakes. I didn't believe, when they said I had damaged my teeth, I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it. I didn't want to believe it. And I did more damage by trying to ignore it. Really bad mistake. So don't get caught up in these ideas. So I think it's a big myth. I think you can probably, there's many raw vegans that will be able to get through their whole life without ever going to the doctor. I think there will be. When was the last time I went to the doctor? Really good question, actually. I remember going to the doctor to get my ears cleared, but I think that might have been before I was raw vegan. It might have been during the time. People have told me now they don't do that anymore. When did I go to the doctor last? Coronavirus tests. Yeah, coronavirus tests. And it's not like I've never been sick as a raw vegan. I've had sniffles and colds. I've had a few days where I've definitely had to lie down. I've got a bit of a cold right now, actually. I was with my nephew. I think I might have picked up something from him. Maybe, but it just seems like a bit of a cold. I've got a bit of, my nose is running a little bit. And that's unfortunate. I was a bit, underprepared that day or whatever happened. But maybe I was a bit underslept or whatever. I don't know. So I was vulnerable. But I generally don't really get colds and flus and things like that. I never really got the flu ever in my life. Even whenever. I was never an alcohol drinker. I was never a smoker. I didn't deplete my body to that level that some people do. Colds I would get, fairly often, and then less as I improved my diet. And then as a raw vegan, in the first few years, I got actually more colds and things like that when I was raw vegan. I think I had some times, especially with detox stuff and giving up certain foods. Went through cold and flu symptoms. And so it took me a while to get into a role, and then I wasn't getting sick for a long time, and that was all fine. But I wouldn't hold back. I probably should have went to the doctor when I was in Mexico. I got some kind of heat stroke. I might have been better off going to if I'd been back in the UK, I might have went to the doctor for that. I really wasn't feeling good in Mexico with the heat stroke and whatever it was I got. I got over it, but it took a while. I don't know if they'd have had anything that could have helped me. But yeah, that wasn't good. That really wasn't good. But don't get caught up in any dogma. Don't develop rules for yourself of that nature. I'm only going to do this approach and not that. This is a kind of lazy thinking. It's not black and white. It's not binary. It's individual situations that you have to assess for your health as to what's the best thing. So if you You're unlikely, if you're on a raw vegan diet, to get type 2 diabetes, to develop arthritis, you're probably less likely to get cancer. Doesn't mean you don't. There's a good example. What if you're a raw vegan that gets cancer? Well, what are you going to do? Be more of a raw vegan? Are you going to fast? Maybe you get the tumor removed. Maybe you do the chemotherapy. I'm totally not against any of those things, personally. I'm not against those things. A lot of you would think, oh, chemo, it's evil, never take chemo. Like, I don't have that rule. I'm sorry. There was a guy on a podcast, did 2 40-day water fasts, thought he'd got rid of cancer, came back. 2 40-day water fasts. Now, fair enough, you might say, yeah, but what did he eat in between? Yeah, sure, he might have went back to eating junk food. Sure. But he did 2 40-day water fasts. This is a guy in his 20s. Thought that he'd solved everything. Thought the cancer had went away. Claimed it had went away. Cancer came back. He died in his 20s. Now, would chemotherapy have saved him? What if it would have? What if it would have been better than fasting? A lot of people in the raw vegan community don't want to believe that. The guy did 2 40-day water fasts. In his 20s, died of cancer. Colon cancer. So, if you want to check him out, what's his name again? I'll need to find. He wasn't famous, but he was an influencer to some degree. He was online and quite successful entrepreneur. So that's all. I mean, just don't develop dogmatic rules around any of these things. That stuff's evil. Never taking that. Never putting chemicals in my body. Never doing anything with the medical. Don't have that mindset. You have to have a more inquiring mind, more intelligent mind, look deeply into things, and make the decision that's right for that particular moment, that's not a dogmatic decision on either side. I would love it if people could just do raw vegan diet and it cures everything, or it makes you superhuman to the problems of the world. In some ways, I think it does make you a superhuman in some ways. In some ways, like, it's a kind of a superhuman thing that you're going to avoid many of the chronic diseases that befall people. That you're potentially going to live longer than people. You're going to maintain your mental clarity and your mind longer than other people. That's a wonderful thing. But, you know, it doesn't mean that you can avoid everything. And nature has some real tough things. Nature is tough. It's got some tough things to throw at you. It's got bacteria, it's got toxins. Like the whole word toxin that we always associate with laboratories and chemicals and man-made. Toxin is about plants creating toxins to protect themselves against animals. That's what toxins are, and insects. Plants create them. It comes in the natural world. They are in vegetables. They are in fruits. Why do you think if you try and eat something that tastes bad, it's a toxin, it's a pesticide, it's designed to stop you eating it? It's a toxin, it comes from plants, and then humans have been able to replicate them to do certain things. But the whole concept of pesticides comes from the natural world. It's not a man-made idea. It's mimicking nature. In fact, doing it less harmfully, because nature is an absolute murderer. Nature will absolutely kill you stone dead. The strength, the toxicity of plants is just unbelievable. You say the plant-based diet. In some ways, if you get lost in a forest somewhere, you're probably better off eating blooming flesh, eating animals, because you don't know what you're eating plant-wise. You have got no idea the level of toxicity of some of the things you might be consuming. And you're probably better off cooking it if you are going to eat it, because you don't know what the hell it is. And even then, it might still be so toxic it kills you. So you got to really know your plants. Fruits, if you're lucky enough to be in an area, we have probably the ability to assess fruits. Other plants, we don't. We're not really good with that. So yeah, that's my message for the day. If you want to read more about it, Raw Vegan Myths Debunked is available in the Ultimate Raw Vegan Bundle for the first time ever till Monday. Pick it up, link below, and let me know what you thought about it. Thank you very much.